Myself wanting to work in a way that would make sure that people came back because they were my source of income. So I was marketing myself, and that means ego involvement. And when I went to Pune, money disappeared. The moment I moved into the ashram, I no longer earned money. I was looked after. We were given a room to live in. We were given clothes that we could choose from as long as they were red or orange. And the food was provided. And suddenly all the politics disappeared from life because I had chosen to be a disciple. And the reason I chose it was that first meeting with him, it was clear that he could see right through my trips. And I felt not only that he was seeing me, but being in his presence, I felt carried into that same self-awareness and awareness of, in a sense of being present, that he was in. It was as though he lifted me into his own presence and gave me my presence. And so in being a disciple, I recognized that what he was inviting me and everybody else there was, let go of your personality, let go of your personality trips. You don't decide what you're doing now. If you come and live in the ashram, you are giving over your governing of your own life. And this is the disciple trip. A disciple with a master. You're saying, okay, I choose to trust you, and I choose to trust you because this is a way of breaking out of my own control of my own personality. And I knew that my control of my personality was very affected by my own wounds and my own survival mechanisms that I had designed over the years growing up. And I see this with the people I work with, and it's why I work the way I do. In my work, what I'm seeking to do is to give people the opportunity to step out of their personality into the magic of being really present. And this was what Bhagwan gave us in no small way. Every morning for 2 hours, he would talk, and we would sit in meditation. And the understanding was that we were simply in meditation while he spoke. For a month he would speak in English, the next month in Hindi. And this alternated throughout the 3 years I was there. So for 1 month, every other month, we didn't understand a word of what he was saying. And this was amazing. You know, those discourses were in us, often they were easier to sit through because we didn't understand how he was taking us apart and pulling the rug out from under us and showing us to ourselves in really uncomfortable ways. So this was why I chose to be with him. He was a way for me to get free of being trapped inside my own personality, my own costume that I'd grown up in. And so, as well as being in discourse every morning, I, like everybody, was given the work that I was to do. Okay, my work was leading 2 workshops a month, and the other days of the month I would be editing Hindi discourses that had been translated into English by Indians, and so they needed somebody who was had a good command of the English language to polish them up. That was my work. You know, from the perspective of being a disciple, my surrender was to whatever the work would be. If I'd been told you're cleaning toilets, I knew the surrender was to clean toilets or go work in the kitchen, whatever. It was the path of discipleship, the path of surrender. Here's surrender for you. I, one evening, went to a sannyasin party, and we got chatting, a few of us, about Shakespeare, because one of my friends he'd been a professional actor, a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company, and another was very involved in theatre, and I was quite involved in theatre as well. My first profession was I was a teacher of English and drama, so I had an attraction to drama. So we said, hey, wouldn't it be great to put on a Shakespearean play in the ashram? And the play, the obvious play to go for, was A Midsummer Night's Dream, because it's so full of magic and mystery. And the moment we put the word out, the actors and actresses came out of the woodwork, and before any time we had the cast together and we began rehearsing, and I and one other were directing it, and it was becoming so sophisticated in its shape and form that we decided, with the ashram's blessings, that it could be staged in a theatre in Pune, not just in the ashram. So this was very exciting for us, and there was even talk of it going to Bombay, which did eventually happen. And one morning I got asked to come to the office after discourse. Rajan, Bhagwan says you're not to play any more part in A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I was really upset, really, really upset and angry, and so broken-hearted. I went back to my room and I was sitting on my bed and I was in tears and feeling like this is so unfair, this is so unjust. My creativity, and I was the one who came up with this idea in the first place. It's not fair. And I'm sitting there chewing the carpet or chewing the mattress, and in comes Karuna, the woman who organises all the workshops. And she looks at me and she said, Rajan, what's the matter? She said, you're supposed to be leading a group, because 10 o'clock that morning I was starting Samarpan. And I turned to her and I said, I can't do it, I can't, I'm just... And she shut the door and went away, and I just stayed there and went on being devastated. 10 minutes later she came back, she walked in and she said, I have a message for you from Bhagwan. He says, go and lead your workshop exactly the way you are right now. Surrender. And when it came from him, there wasn't anything I could do. Okay, this is an invitation. And at that time I had a reputation as a really tough group leader. I was hard. I've lost a lot of edges by now in my old age, but that time my nickname was the Sword. So I walk in, and they're sitting in a circle, and there's this apprehension that there always is, Rajan's coming, the group's beginning. And I walked in, and I walked into the centre, and I sat down, and I just went on crying. And they're, of course, totally shocked. And they all came around me and just loved me. And it changed something in me. It was another little breaking down of my ego trip of being the great Rajan, the great group leader, which I was becoming. And things like that were constantly happening. So that was the structure, and it was this structure that gave us the framework in which day after day after day we were invited and challenged to keep letting go of our trips and to simply live in the present, because this was the place that it was good to be, was in the present. And not only was it wonderful to sit with Bhagwan, but the ashram was a gathering of extraordinary men and women who were, they were all pioneers in their own way. They'd all chosen to dare to be in this disciple relationship. And as a community, we were having a wonderful time with each other. There were a lot of musicians, there were a lot of very creative people from all walks of life, architects, lawyers, bakers, whatever, you name it, they were there. And what Bhagwan was giving us was a community, or a commune in fact, in which we were invited to live as totally as possible, as we dared, and to live always in the present.